What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. So thank you guys again for tuning in for another helpful video within our TechBud Solutions YouTube channel. So for today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to find the best penny stocks. And by the best penny stocks, that's going to be something that you as an investor have to identify yourself. And how is it that you identify the best penny stocks? Well, the reason it says in 15 minutes is because I've challenged everyone within our group of tech solutions to dedicate, before, after the market closes, that's that, right? Us as day traders have to, in a sense, put in work to, in a sense, identify potential. If you don't want to become 90% of the people that lose money, then what is it that you think that you should be doing? What's very simple. You should be doing what 90% aren't doing, and that's putting in work to identify the best penny stocks out there. And then the way you do that is simply by, learning how to perform technical analysis and identifying potential. I'm going to do a series of technical analysis. Again, I try to dedicate at least 15 to 30 minutes every single day, the day before the markets open. So I did this yesterday because it was Sunday, preparing for Monday, and I do this on Thursday, Sunday through Thursday, in essence, to prepare for the market open. So that's why I'm going to be talking about how to find the best penny stocks in 15 minutes, because I'm challenging you, each and every viewer, if you guys are okay with it, right? If you guys want to see success when it comes to trading, you should never trade based on anyone else's opinion. No matter how professional they are, no matter what it is that they're recommending, you should be the final decision maker on what it is that you choose to invest your hard-earned money. And I repeat that, and I express that so frequently because I can't express that enough on how important that is, that no matter who within the group and no matter how much hype a stock is, showing and expressing, if you don't see potential, if you as an investor don't understand why it's going up, where the support, where the resistance is, where's a good buy, where's a good sell, then don't trade it. That's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make as an investor, is to jump into the hype of a stock, since that you're gonna really make it, right? And then just write it all the way down. I'm telling you that you will see more success in understanding what it is that you're investing in rather than hoping for the best. Start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm going to be talking about. And this is, in a sense, updated based on the stocks that I'm personally going to be looking at for this upcoming, so it's going to be 5/16. And in no way does this mean that you should trade any of these stocks if you personally do not identify and understand why these stocks have potential, or why, my own reasoning. And if you can't make, in a sense, if you can't make sense of why you should invest in these stocks, then don't do it. That's one of the biggest things. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back and analyzing and seeing how it plays out and learning from that. So again, this is just based on my own opinion, and I'm going to be talking about that so you guys can understand and experience my whole thought process. You guys have really enjoyed and benefited from these specific videos that I've been making live, and I hope that I can continue to make them in an effort to give you guys a better understanding on how I perform my own technical analysis, and an effort for you guys to be able to do the same in every single stock you guys trade. If you guys do not have a plan and so if you guys didn't perform a technical analysis, didn't set up a plan on where you're buying, where you're selling, and where you would cut your losses, then you're not prepared to trade. You're hoping for the best, and you're going based on, you're kind of just hoping for the best, and that's one of the biggest things that we want to avoid. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. I performed already a series of technical analysis. That's how I have these different stocks already laid out, and that's AUY, VRX, NAK, MTBC, IDXG, and AUPH. So that's the day trading watch list. Now this is swing trading. Again, we have a swing trading group chat within the TechBud Solutions. So I wanted to make something that I was able to identify potential in, and I'll be talking a little bit about some of these, and that's Tesla, DGAS, DNR, and eTerm. And then on the top right-hand side, it says target 2.34% per trade. What that means is that with this $1,000 challenge that we have going on, then you have to understand that the only way that you're going to see growth realistically is if you lock in profits. No matter if you're up 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever it is, lock in profits, because with the power of compounding interest, you know that you can $1,000 count to $20,000 within 1 year simply by locking in 2.33% growth, or 2.33% gross profit every single time you trade, only 3 days out of a 5-day week, right? So since the market's open 5 days, only out of those 3 days on average do you have to lock in 2.33% profit every single day for those 3 days. and you'll convert $1,000 to $20,000 with the power of compounding interest. That means from $5,000 or $3,000, you'd make $142,000 or something like that. So it's ridiculous how powerful it is, but it comes down to how disciplined and how consistent you are. And it's those that lock in profits and those that cut their losses short that see a larger return in the long run. Although their profits might be small as they're starting out, as they continue to gather their nuts, right? Whatever it is that you want to call it. At the end, they have more nuts than everyone else, right? Because they were realistic, they were consistent, and they were disciplined. So I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys see how important I want to make sure that you guys understand how important it is to lock in profits, stay consistent, and to understand what it is that you're investing, because that has been one of the biggest mistakes that I've been making myself, and I have made in the past when day trading, especially when you get too overwhelmed or too hyped on a specific stock and you don't lock in profits. That's one of the worst feelings, is when you're in the green, red, because you got greedy and you didn't lock in profits. And I'm not scared to show that. I upload all my videos live now, basically, and I'm going to try to do so for this $1,000 challenge. So I hope you guys can understand that and see how transparent I want to be with you guys, so you guys can learn from my mistakes and learn from my best practices, because I think that's what TechBud Solutions does great. It's that we're here, we're a supportive community, and we want to help one another out. So if anyone's commenting anything down below and you know the answer to, feel free to answer it for them, just because I don't get the opportunity to respond to every single comment down below, so I do apologize for that. But the best way to reach out to me is if you click on, if you are part of TechBud Solutions, you can DM me through the group chat TechBud Solutions platform, and then I tend to have a really responsive or successful response rate within that platform myself. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you guys do, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you guys can subscribe, like always, we'd greatly appreciate it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off with how my watch list is going, and it's AUY, the one that I was looking at, right? The reason I found this one so attractive is, if you guys know anything about me, is that I love chasing red stocks. And what I mean by that is I love chasing stocks that see a huge red or a huge drop, because if I identify the bounce properly, you see how it bounced at 246. If I identify the bounce, where is it going to go, based on this bounce that it had at 246, where is it most likely going to lead to? Well, because of this bounce that it had after market hours, it jumped right back to this 270 support that it previously had, and it now becomes a new resistance level. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit easier for you guys to understand. So ignoring what happened after market hours, ignoring this gray area, all day today, AUY had a pretty strong support. It did break below it, but it had a pretty strong support around 270. It held pretty well around 270. During aftermarket hours, it dropped to lows of 246. Do you guys all see that? All right, now going a little bit back and seeing based on its trend, if you can see that it used to have a support at 244. Isn't that weird that it had a support previously at 244, around 245? It sees an upward trend, hits its peak, and then has a huge spike down. What does that mean? Well, what this can mean is that tomorrow, during pre-market hours, and if it reacts according to how we're planning for this to react, is it's most likely going to see a downward trend, and being able to catch it at the bounce at around 245, 246, and riding it back up to where it is. I mean, the potential for profit is more than your 2.33% profit that you need to be trying to hit every single day. It's closer to nearly 10%. It's 9.5%. So realistically, this is one that I think I'm going to really take a look at during pre-market hours to see how it performs, to see if I can catch it at this lower point. Because if you see this RSI indicator, which is a huge indicator that I use to identify potential in stocks, is that it went below 30 RSI and it hit lows of about 17, and showing a huge downward trend, but then showing a solid bounce right after. So you have to be quick with these stocks. You have to identify the bounce properly and buy when it's going up. That's something that I've done many mistakes on, is I try to get in at the lowest point and I continue to write it down. It's better to be patient, wait for the bounce to identify its support, and then as it's rising, I personally like to buy as it's rising, just to catch it at an upward trend, because the whole point of you investing and buying these stocks is to sell for it to appreciate and sell for a profit. So that's a huge in a sense, suggestion that I would say I've made a mistake on is I tend to buy usually, or I used to try to buy at the lowest point, but now what I try to do is I try to buy it when I see upward momentum, because I tend to see more successful trades that way. So this is one that I have this is one that I'm going to be watching once the market opens. And if you can see, all these little arrows actually mean that these are where my alerts are at. So this is just one that I'm going to be taking a look at. The next one is VRX. VRX, let me talk to you guys about why I put this one in my watch list. This was one just basically based on the bounce that it's had, or the support that it had around $9. It's seen a consistent upward trend. And if we go farther, or just if we go a little bit back into its history, you can see that consistently it had a consistent drop. It bounced at the support that it had around $8 to $7.90, and it has seen an upward trend. The current resistance where we're most likely going to experience it at is around $14 to $15. Right now it's sitting around $14, $17, so it is quite close to the old support that it had. So like we know, old supports become new resistance levels as it's coming back up. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. But again, this margin of profit that it has to make up to go back to where it was. It's seen a downward trend. Now what we're looking at is, if it plays out according to what we're hoping for, is that we see an upward trend and continue this break of resistance and continue to ride it back up. But again, you never know exactly what it is that can happen, so you want to make sure that you have the proper plan. So I have my alerts when it breaks this resistance at $14.45, or if it breaks the support at around $14.10, an effort to make sure that I catch it at the bounce. So I have different supports through VRX to make sure that I catch it at a solid buy point. Just as the market opens, if it has a solid drop all the way down to 1380, I know that that was a previous support, so I can identify 1380. If it bounces, that's a solid support to buy in at, and to sell at 1444 for a profit, right? And that's really just it. So VRX and then NAK. NAK was one that we were watching today, and let me get a little bit more into it. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to do a 2-day analysis, or let's just do this. And what I want you guys to understand or see is that on Friday, because today was Monday and this is how it played out. On Friday, when it saw this sudden drop, right, the RSI indicator shows that it was far below 30 RSI. It dropped below the SMA line, and it bounced at $1.65. Hit a resistance back at almost $2, about $1.95, and then consistently held above 180. It broke that support today. It bounced. What do you think? If you guys saw our pre-market or our live video this morning, you could see that we were talking about it when it hit its resistance, and we were talking about, well, it previously dropped to 165, and if it breaks the support at 180, we'll most likely see it slowly start downward staircasing to this 165 support, and that is exactly what happened. It ended up playing out and bouncing at 166, so it was 1 cent off from its previous support, and it saw an upward trend and a potential for profit from 166 to highs of about 188. So that's 13% profit, right? Although this stock closed in the red, this is why I love chasing red stocks, because when they see solid drops like this, it's all about identifying it, catching it when it bounces, setting up a plan that, okay, well, I know based on its history that it has a support at $1.65. So I'm going to wait till it gets closer to this 165. I'm going to wait till it bounces to identify that as a successful support. And I'm going to catch it when the RSI and the SMA is indicating that it's seen an upward trend. And in doing that, I know that I can buy in, if it bounces at 166, I'll buy in at 170. And then I know that the old support was around 180 to 190. I mean, the old resistance was at 180 to 190. So that is my target sell price. I'll follow with a trailing stop loss. But overall, I'll have a stop loss at 164.99, because I know that if it breaks below 165, then it will continue to see a downward trend, and that's to unknown territory. So I'd rather cut my losses short and promote growth, right? So my potential for profit from the bounce of 165 to 166 all the way to the 180 to the 185 is much greater than my potential for loss to stop loss out at 1.6499. It is extremely possible, right? Because you never know exactly what it is that can happen. But when you set up this plan, it gives you that peace of mind that you truly understand that you're getting in at a good point. You understand that you're catching it at the bounce, and that you understand that at least you're cutting your losses and you're minimizing your loss. making sure that you stay consistent, you stay green, that your green days are always going to be larger than your red days, right? Overall, you always want to make sure that your account's in the green. And this is why I find NAK so attractive, is because tomorrow during the market open, now it's seeing signs of upward trend, upward momentum. And if it continues, based on the previous 5 days that it's had, it has this margin of profit from 180 to $2 that it can make up, but it really comes down to the volume being right. So what can we look for now? Well, there's now a new support at $1.80 and a new resistance at $2 or $1.94, whatever it is that you want to call it. So what you can do is, if it shows to identify a solid support during pre-market hours at around 180 and it continues to hold above 180, then it identifies 180 to be, in a sense, still a valid support. So what I would do is to make sure that you get in anything above 180 as long as it shows signs of upward momentum. Cut losses below 180, right, at 1.799 to minimize loss. And again, this is just based on my opinion. In no way do you guys have to do this. And then follow with a trailing stop loss. I know that there's a resistance at around 195 to $2, and that's really just it. So my potential for loss is a lot less than my potential for profit. And now going into the next one, I'm going to make this one quick. Or let's see. JNUG was one that has consistently been seeing a green day, right? Green days for the past couple of days, and it's because it saw so many consistent red days. So there was a time that everyone was losing money because of JNUG and the consistent drop that it had. And just like always, things that go down must come up, right? Especially, or not necessarily, right? Not always. But with this gold ETF, it's something that's very common. JDST was one that was consistently seeing a upward trend. It's now consistently seeing a downward trend. So now it identified its support at around 1372. It showed a solid, in a sense, upward trend. So I decided to jump on in today. And it ended up not playing out exactly how I expected. Pretty much what I mean by that is JDST actually ended up going up, and JNUG had this solid drop. But because of my mistake that I got in a little bit too early, I was able to alert the people when it bounced at around $17.50. And then a lot of people were able to make huge amounts of money because they themselves identified the bounce. They waited to see an upward trend. They saw that it was a bounce, and they saw that the RSI, the EMA, when it crossed above EMA, everything was indicating that it was a good buy. And then based on the previous support, kind of like where it opened, the previous support was around $19, and it had a nice little resistance. It almost broke $19, didn't really get to it. So, and I bought in at 1905, so that was my area of opportunity. I have to follow up on, but consistently it's been seeing an upward trend. Doesn't mean that it's always going to, definitely not. It's just one that during pre-market hours, we're gonna have to make sure that it holds above the support, that it's built around $18.70, and hopefully break this resistance at $19 to see an upward trend or upward momentum within the stock. And MTBC. This is going to be the last day trading stock, and then I'll talk about one of the day swing trades. So MTBC has consistently seen a downward trend from its that it had a couple days ago at 264, and it's had really solid red days. And although it's been having really solid red days, there's been a lot of margin for profit, especially when the market opens. So this is one that I was talking about, that once the market opened, it was one that we're watching and that I was trying to get into. And it had a support at around 209, hit highs of 224. We knew that the support previously was around 206, above 206 with the proper volume that we were going to see an upward trend. And it really came down to that. So around 210, so I was trying to get in at 211, and right as I put my limit order at 211, it ended up shooting up. So I was a little too late, but I saw a couple traders that got filled within our group, and I called out the resistance at 220, but I ended up hitting highs of 224. So I know a couple traders were able to make a little bit more than 5% on that trade, but it all comes down again identifying where you're buying, percent profit margin, and cutting losses short. So you're getting in at 210. That's the support. Cutting losses anything below that or at whatever percentage you calculate to be your max loss. And that's my trade for MTBC. Now what we've been seeing is that now it has a support at around, let me zoom out a little bit. Now it has a support at 190. And as long as during pre-market hours it identifies and holds above 190, we can still identify that as a solid support. So if it starts to see a downward trend and holds above 190, and then we start to see a bounce, then we know that we can get in and sell for a profit because we know the resistance is at $2. So base this, being a $1.90 stock, that would nearly be 5 to 7% potential profit if it bounces at 190 and continues to have its resistance at $2. So this is one that I called out this morning, and it was Tesla, and it was because of the ridiculous drop that it had, right? So it had a really big drop from $325 all the way down right as the market opened at 312. I ended up being able to get in at 312.91, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up hitting the resistance at around 320. And this is just, these are what we call gappers, and it has a margin of profit for those swing traders of about 4%, so not bad. And it's definitely not a penny stock. It's one that you can feel a little bit more comfortable holding. But it had this huge drop, and these can be panic sellers, whatever it is. But it's all about identifying the support, catching it at the bounce, and understanding that it has margin for profit and setting up a plan according to that. That's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I plan to do. Really quick, the last one that I'm going to be talking about is DGAZ, if I'm not mistaken. And DGAZ has consistently seen, I'm going to go to do a 10-day analysis, consistently saw a downward trend, saw a bounce at 1705, and is now making its way back up. If we go a little bit further back to 180-day analysis, you can see that it's actually at a pretty low point. The RSI indicator shows that it's actually closer to the oversold side, so it has good signs of upward momentum. And as long as this EMA continues to cross over this SMA line, then that would be ideal, right? Indicating that it's showing signs of upward momentum. But we definitely need to see a little bit more volume with DGAZ. It did pretty well today with how it opened, but not a lot of movement actually when the market was open, because it did all this action either after market hours or pre-market hours, which some of us don't have access to, right? And I'm so sorry, I'm going to try to fit this one in, and it's going to be E-term, right? Today it saw a 31% increase, but if you look a little bit further back, consistently for the past 180 days, it had a pretty solid rise, came all the way back down, and is now seeing an upward trend. The RSI indicator is showing that it's oversold, so for those swing traders, might not be a very profitable long trade or a long-term trade, but it definitely has a lot of margin for profit. It tends to peak out at around $7.67 based on its previous resistance. And if we do a 5-day analysis, has consistently been seeing an upward trend, but today it really hit its resistance, so maybe we can see some pullbacks and ride it back up. And again, for those that are joining us for the first time, again, if you guys aren't part of it already, TechBud Solutions is a group that I started. The link is provided for you down below. Once you get accepted, and if you want access to our in a sense, group chats, all the links are provided for you right here. And if you want to search any files like our prime berry pick checklist or our growth plan, that is all provided for you simply by searching up in this group. You can search up the PBP chart or the, what is it called, the growth plan, and just search up files, or they should all be found under files as well. I wanted to make it pretty quick. I'm not too sure how much time I took from you guys, but thank you guys again so much. If there's anything that I can do to help you guys out any way that I can, please feel free to reach out to me. Please have specific questions for me. I've been getting a very repetitive question, and it's like, how do I get started? What stocks should I trade? And I'm never going to tell you what stocks you should trade, because you should never go based on anyone else's opinion. And anyone that's asked me that, I never tell you what it is that you should trade, but I tell you maybe you should learn. You should learn first, then get your feet wet, right, with paper trading, and then trade according to that. But I can't thank you guys enough for everything that it is that you guys do. I've been very pumped, and I've been very motivated in getting up in the morning now that I've been able to do that live trading session with you guys. And based on the feedback that you guys have for me, it's been something that's been very active and very interactive with each and every one of you. And it's something that I'm truly blessed to be able to share with you guys. So again, like always, if you guys have any questions or recommendations, don't just share it with me, within the TechBud Solutions community. So you can post it in the group chat. You can post it on the Facebook platform. I'd be more than happy to accept it. But if there's anything that you guys want to share with me, anything that I can help you out with, or you think you can help me out with as well, feel free to let me know. I'm always open-minded. I'm always here to, in a sense, do anything I can to assist or help you guys, and that's really just it. So it's amazing the growth that our channel has seen within the past, I think, week. We went from about like 12,000 to 14,000, almost 15,000 already subscribers, and our community with TechBud Solutions, we grew like 300 to 400 members within the past 24 hours. So it was ridiculous on the growth that we saw. And I really think it has to do with these live trading sessions, because a lot of you guys really like how realistic this is. And I think that, that's definitely showing, how effective this community is. So I believe we're sitting a little bit over 17,500 members now within the TechBud Solutions community. So it's amazing. It's something that I really never thought was possible. But thanks to each and every one of you, I have the blessing to wake up every morning loving what I do and share with each and every one of you guys. So I don't have the live chat actually open, but I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys enjoy your Monday. Make sure, again, 10 to 15 minutes every single day to put aside. And regardless of what you're doing and how busy you are, if you want to be successful when it comes to trading or investing or in anything that you choose to pursue, remember, stay disciplined and stay consistent. So make sure you put in effort to perform your technical analysis and share those ideas, and then start networking, because I feel like that whole thought process can be very beneficial. So once you guys perform your technical analysis, I want you guys to comment below what it is that you plan on trading in the following morning, or as well just share it within the TechBud Solutions group chat, and it's the technical analysis feed that I think that content would be properly set at. So thank you guys again, and like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, guys.